Hey guys, welcome back to Your Lake Fork Guide and the Guides Network, our weekly, super in-depth instructional videos that we do. Try to help you guys figure out some new techniques, maybe a technique you already know, maybe we can give you a little bit different perspective. Either way, we're going to give you all the details on how I go about catching more and bigger fish on these techniques in my boat. Today, we got a little something strange going on right now. We kind of had a long spring. Water temps stayed cool for a long time this year. Now all of a sudden we've gone from like mid-spring to early summer like that. We only had about a week of that late spring, early summer type bite. And now we're getting summertime water temps already here in May. And some of the summertime patterns are starting to come into play. So today I'm going to talk to you about probably my favorite summertime pattern around grass. It's just very dependable, catches fish day in, day out, cloudy, sunny, windy, calm. It just seems like this technique's always good for some good quality bites throughout the summer. Today we're going to talk about how to fish a chatterbait in the heat of summer for big bass. When I'm fishing the chatterbait in the summertime, there's definitely some differences in how I would fish it the rest of the year, especially in the wintertime. In the wintertime, I like to go to lighter weight chatterbaits. 3/8 ounce is usually my go-to in the wintertime. And I like to, barely keep that blade vibrating on that chatterbait. In the summertime, it's complete opposite. I step it up to at least a 1/2 ounce, and I really want to move this chatterbait through that grass fast. I want it getting down in grass, ripping it out violently. It's it's as much power fishing as power fishing gets. The chatterbait that I'm using, I just started using the jackhammer from Evergreen. I really like that bait. There's another one here. I'll go ahead and tell you guys the name of it. I just can't tell you where to get it because Z-Man might get upset. You know how Z-Man is about stuff. This is called Japanese Underground. So if you can look up and find the Japanese Underground chatterbaits, I really like those as well. For me, that 1/2 ounce weight's a really big deal because I really want to be moving that chatterbait a lot faster. I actually want it to dig into that grass a little bit, and I want to rip it out very violently. The other big difference is the hook set. Normally I like to fish, a 7-foot heavy rod and braid so it comes through the grass easy. But at the same time, I just want to ease into them on the hook set. I don't really jerk on them. I just kind of turn and reel set them. This time of year, not so much. Most of the bites you get on this, you're imparting a violent action on the bait, ripping it in and out of grass. And most of your bites are going to be very violent as well. They're going to knock slack in your line. When they do that, I know they've got it. When they're knocking slack in, I'll reel down and I drop it on them. I hit them pretty hard with it. So as far as the baits itself, it's pretty simple. I do have a new trailer that I'm using, especially for summertime. I don't think you could find a better trailer than this on the market today. This is the Impact Shad. I'll hold it upside down so you can get a good look at it here. Get that skirt off of it. But as you see, it's kind of a fluke style bait, but it's real flat and it's got this jointed tail. Guys, the action this bait has on it behind a chatterbait is the best chatterbait action I've ever seen. This trailer is just perfect. It's just got the same tight wiggle. No matter what speed you roll the blade at, the tail matches it perfectly. And it's just like it was built for a chatterbait. It's so perfect. Impact Shad by Impact Lures. You can find those at Lake Fork Marina. You can find them at impactlures.com as well. But I'm throwing mostly shad colors. There's kind of two options, and this is kind of a mixture of the two. I like to throw something with a white... Go ahead and drop the bait. I like to throw something with a bit of a white tint to it. Looks like a shad. These fish in these grass flats around here, eating a lot of gizzard shad in the summertime. I like to throw something with a white shade to it. And then green pumpkin is a big deal for me. That's my two basic colors. This one right here is one of those evergreens. This is the Bee Hike Delight color. But it's got green pumpkin on top, white and chartreuse on bottom. And I tipped that tail with a little chartreuse, as you guys can see as well. When I throw the green pumpkin chatterbaits, I like to go with a watermelon colored impact shad for my trailer. As far as my rod, reel, and line setup, I mean, 6 Sense Lures has a rod that I know they didn't really necessarily design this specifically for a chatterbait, but this is a tremendous chatterbait rod right here. The 6 Sense Lux rods, this is the 7.3 heavy fast action. So 7.3 heavy, but it's got a fast action tip. I mean, it's just perfect. It's got just enough tip to where you don't really rip it away from them too bad when you set the hook, but it's got all the backbone and length and power that you need to work it through that grass with minimal effort. And that's a big deal, being efficient, getting that bait out of that grass, because that's where you get most of your bites, is when that bait comes jumping out of the grass. You know, on line for this technique, I'm going to use 50-pound braid. Like I said, we want that bait to dig into the grass when we're ripping it out. But when you're doing that, you kind of have to use big, strong braid. 50-pound Power Pro is the line that I'm using. This is the meat and potatoes right here, boys. The areas. You get into an area. This area behind me here, every piece of water you see is a giant grass flat. How do you dissect where those fish are going to hold and where to fish those chatterbaits? Well, you have to look for irregularities, changes in bottom contours. You know, where the creek channel comes in there and makes a swing, or maybe a drain meets the creek channel. Those all, when a drain meets a creek channel, it creates a point. When a creek channel swings like this, it creates a point down the middle. Those are big things. Anytime that grass comes to a point and the bottom contour does as well, that tends to hold fish. That's usually their feeding tables. That's where they come to really chase that bait down, pin it up on those points, pin it up against the points of grass, ambush it from those points. That's where they come to feed. Now, the other big thing that's another big feeding table for them, and this is a huge deal, when you get in a massive flat type of area, you'll watch that grass. It'll be thicker in some areas, it'll be thinner in some areas. Here on Lake Fork, we have some areas where there's hydrilla and coontail mixed together, two different types of grasses. Anytime I see that mixture of grass, that always for some reason holds them, guys. It just does. It seems like that's where that grass scatters out the best and gives them a little more room to roam and chase that bait down and ambush it, and they use that. So anytime I want a massive flat, I start noticing that I have hydrilla and coontail mixed together. Maybe that grass is starting to be a little bit more sparse, a little bit more spread out. It's easier to work your chatterbait through there, and B, that's the spot where the big ones go. I mean, it just is. That's where you'll see the shad running through there. If you really pay attention and watching the water, as you're trolling through there with your trolling motor, you'll see schools of shad running through there. Those are the areas where, when it goes down in those areas, that's where it really goes down. That's where the big home runs happen, where you catch multiple big fish in a row. So to recap the areas, look for points and irregularities in the contours and the grass lines, and then look for those big flats. Look for the areas that have a blending of types of grasses, and the grass kind of gets a little more sparse, a little more spread out, a little bit thinner. That's your two key big deals when you're breaking down a big grass flat. All right, now I'm going to show you guys exactly how I'm retrieving this bait through this thick grass to draw these reaction bites. So right now, the nose of the boat's kind of sitting over a creek channel, but there's a bunch of grass out over here. So I'm going to make a long cast. All right, so now I'm actually going to pause, let that bait get down in some grass, reel it up, feel grass, I'm going to rip it. When I say rip it, boys, we're talking about ripping it out of that grass. And what'll happen is, you'll rip it, you'll go to pick back up, and usually as soon as you pick your slack up, wham! I mean, they hit it hard when you're doing this. It's a reaction bite. They're committing to it, and they're jumping all over it, boys. So don't be timid about it. You know, reel that thing through there, let it get down in that grass. Once you feel it get bogged up, give it a snap, violent snap. What happens is that bait swimming along, slows down, you know, almost to a stop, and then you jerk it, and it explodes out of there and then pauses. Man, that drives them fish crazy. That's what's getting them to react right there. When I get a bite, like I said, they usually hit it so hard on that reaction bite, I'll rip it, I'll go to pick it up, and I'll feel wham, and they usually knock slack. I can't feel my bait at all. So I just point my rod down, reel up, and I mean, I hit them. You step into it. It's like a jig or a Texas rig hook set. That's only for summertime. Let me rephrase this, guys. All these techniques where I'm ripping it that violently, reeling that bait that fast, setting the hook that hard, is just during the hot summertime. That's one of the reasons I really do like the Evergreen jackhammer for this style of hot summer chatterbait fishing, because it is so violent. I do set the hook so hard. That being said, when you've got that big hook and you're driving it home like that, you don't have to play around with that fish. You just horse him to the boat and flip him in. If you got a net man, use your net man, but don't play around. I mean, you got a 7.3 heavy action rod, you got 50-pound braid, you got a big hook on that chatterbait. Get control, get his head up out of that grass, and get him in the boat as fast as possible. All right, boys, that's how I fish a chatterbait in the heat of summer. Gets us some really big bites, as you guys have seen, and it's a fun way to fish. It's power fishing at its best. It's fast action, it's hard bites, hard hook sets. It's just a lot of fun. Chatterbait is one of my most dependable baits throughout the year, and one of the reasons is it's so versatile. There's all different kinds of ways to use it. This is just another technique that you guys can put in your toolbox, take it to your lake. As long as you got grass in the hot summertime, you should be able to duplicate this anywhere in the country, really. So I hope this helps you guys catch a few more big fish this summer. And hey, we appreciate you guys watching. Look, if you want to check out some of these 6-inch rods or anything else from 6inchlures.com, be sure to punch in the code Your Lake Fork Guide. Get 10% discount on all orders at 6inchlures.com. We will link the Impact Shad below as well, so be sure and check that out for a new chatterbait trailer. You can also throw it weightless. It's a fluke style bait. You can throw it on a Carolina rig. It is an awesome new bait. You guys, I highly encourage y'all checking that one out. That's it for today. We appreciate you watching as always, and we'll see you next time right here on Your Lake Fork Guide.